I'm Frank.
And I'm Grant, and our idea for Field and Flame stemmed from our love for the outdoors and cooking. Based in northern Minnesota, we have such incredible resources available to us. From duck to deer and salmon to walleye, we truly have it all. Field and Flame is a show about our adventures in the field and cooking what we capture over the flame. Follow along each week as we explore something new and bring taste and flavor to every meal. Season 1 of Field and Flame TV is brought to you by Canine Health Forward, because every dog deserves this.
Duck Opener 2024. Anything else? So it is Duck Opener 2024, northern Minnesota. We found a little bit of rice. It's really been a bad year for rice with all the early season flooding. So we found a lake with a river with a little bit of rice in it. So we're gonna hunt this rice. It's gonna be probably the prime spot for any kind of like summer local ducks, and that's really what we're going after. They should be in here feeding early morning. And right now we are out setting decoys. We're gonna get blinds built, and we are gonna hopefully shoot some ducks. So we are hoping today to see a lot of local birds, like I said earlier. We're gonna have some mallards in here. We are gonna see some wood ducks for sure, maybe a teal. Seen some coots flying on the way in. I'm not ashamed to shoot them. They make a good snack. Might see a teal. We got a pintail out of here for youth season. So, I mean, the range of ducks is pretty open. We're kind of going for anything. We're not just shooting one duck. Ducks aren't plumed out right now either. So our Drake mallards are kind of look like our hens. We're gonna have to do some duck identification with those. But it'll be a good day, I think, and temps are nice, wind's good, and should be ready to go. As you can see, we just cut a bunch of brush here, built this blind out of what's around the area, so it's all natural, nothing's like sticking out. So we should be well hidden in here. They won't really see much, nothing will be different. We're staying out of the rice. We're just piled up here, right on the edge of the bog, and it's looks good right now. So we'll make some adjustments once there's a little bit of light, if we can see, and if anything needs to be changed, we'll do it then.
Go, yeah, go. Shoot in front of it. Hit it again.
I don't see it.
Right there.
No.
One right here.
Nice shot, bud.
I mean, well, yeah, half a second to shoot.
You know what was going through my mind when I was crouching down? You better shoot that third shell.
One immature Drake mallard down so far. Just turned shooting light, hoping for a good hunt. Had one land in the decoys just now.
Hen wood duck.
Morgan's retrieving it. It's a hen wood duck. Got two over top the trees. Nice Drake wood duck here.
She was chomping it. You get that little warm bird in their mouth and their, especially the first couple of the day.
Dude, that's a nice one too. So far, pretty productive, as in seeing birds morning. We have a Drake mallard and a Drake wood duck, super pretty wood duck. So pretty excited to see that a little closer. Always early season, everything happens super fast right at shooting light. So we go from retrieving birds, trying to shoot birds, getting a dog back in. It just happens really fast, and it's all part of the game. So we did some early season scouting around the area here and knowing the flooding that happened, we were really worried about not finding rice, and we probably found the best rice in the area. Birds are roosting at night and they're coming here in the morning to feed on this rice. Some is still in the stock, some is falling off into the water, and they'll dabble down for that rice in the water, or they'll feed off the stock too, depending on the ripeness of the rice. As far as scouting goes, you know, that's the number one thing you need to do to be successful in duck hunting. You can't just show up and hunt and think you're gonna have any luck. You could also scout your whole life and not have as much luck, but your odds are a lot better. We scout multiple times the first couple weeks before season. We get out as much as we can, put hours on the boat, and you really just got to put in the hours and find the food sources, find the roosts, find the low ponds. You got to find everything and kind of just calculate where you're going to hunt that opening day.
I think you're supposed to be looking that way.
I was looking this way.
Gosh, jeez. Got one job. Kick the ball. Yeah, I mean, you won't see, you'll just see like at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, you'll start to see them come back in, you know.
It won't be, like, there's still a high probability of
Ducks
coming
filtering
in
through.
right now.
What happens is they feed on this rice all night long, right? And then, like remember we kicked those birds out of the rice? And then at daylight, typically a lot of them will fly to open water to roost. Then in a couple hours, they get hungry, they come back to the food. I'm wet.
You see the sunrise?
There's way over the trees, see it? Oh, coming this way, coming this way. It's coming in, coming in. Not coming in, not coming in. Okay, that's okay. That's okay, they like the spot. That's what matters.
Got a blue-winged teal here. This is actually the first duck we shot today. It was in the grass. Troy sent the dog on it and she found it. It was probably close to about 75 yards away from us here, and she found it in thick rice. So hunting with the dog really has its benefits. Earlier I said the weather was super nice. I lied. It's raining.
I get that one. I get that one. Good eating bird.
Ooh.
Good girl, that a girl.
What I would say is a normal mix of birds here for early season. We've got this early season mallard, got these blue-winged teal, super pretty wood duck. This is something you're gonna find up here. It's just a mix of everything. Usually we'll have a pintail in here as well. But this is kind of what we got so far. We're not calling it quits yet, we're still hunting. The rain moved in, it was a big change for us. Weren't expecting that, the wind switched. Happens all the time, still never ready for it. So now we're just gonna hunker down and hunt the rest of the morning. Early season ducks too, you'll notice when you're breasting these out or if you're plucking them or waxing them, there's virtually no fat on these ducks. I mean, it's been summer. They don't have to have any fat storage. They're not getting beefed up for the cold weather yet. So they're gonna be super lean. So as far as cooking wise goes, a lot of the times you'll just breast these out, take the skin off. You're not really worried about saving the skin or the fat early season. These smaller ducks, really cool to do any kind of thing from jalapeno poppers. That's a big one. This mallard, you know, we have is a little bigger. We could probably wax that and roast it whole. We'll kind of see where we go with it.
Pintails, pintails, pintails. Hold on. Pintails. Cripple, 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 cripple.
Did you get one?
Yeah, I got one. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a cripple though. Look for a band on that one.
Super nice wood duck. Drake. Super pretty. So with this mixed bag we have now, we have the mallards, the teals, the wood ducks. As far as flavor wise, every duck's good, no matter what anyone says. It's all about how you make them. It's all about how you cook them. Same with geese, same way you'll get a lot of people saying piece isn't good, but I mean, we made that goose sandwich out of the blind. That thing is better than any steak sandwich I've ever had. Teal, wood duck are gonna be like your least gamiest duck out there, I think. It's probably your cleanest, whitest meat. Mallards will still have a little darker color to them, and when we breast these out, we'll be able to show you that. There's definitely a distinct color difference, flavor-wise. I mean, it's there if you eat it piece by piece, and you're like, oh yeah, this is this. But if you're making something that's all mixed up, you'll never know, oh, there's a mallard in here. Oh, there's a wood duck. Or, oh, there's a Canadian goose mixed in here. You won't know. So if you cook it wrong, though, you'll be able to tell. You'll have those off-putting flavors. You'll have those off-putting tastes. You overcook it, it's gonna be dry. You just really gotta focus on what you're doing and don't overthink it too much and cook it less. Less is more.
Okay, ducks coming, yep. Coming over the trees here, behind us. Nice mallards. Coming out front here. One more right out front. That's a wood. We both shot at the same time, dude. And we didn't hit it very hard. Yeah.
Well, it's really cool to see the wood duck come back. In the 50s and the 60s, the wood duck was almost extinct. And due to a lot of conservation and habitat practices, wood duck house projects, hunters have really brought the wood duck back, and now we're able to shoot 3 wood ducks a day here in Minnesota. It's a huge success story for conservation.
That's awesome. Super pretty bird. Prettiest birds we have around here by far. Well, we're having a quick day today. We got some things to do when we get home, but this is a good bag of ducks, I would say, for opener.
Yeah, typical group of ducks that we'd shoot on an opening weekend.
Yep.
Ducks were trickling through all day and got some good shots and some bad shots. Missed some opportunities as usual. It's always like that when you're duck hunting. Mm-hmm. And there's still birds trading around in the air left and right here and there. And if you had time to sit out all day, you could add a few more to the bag if you wanted to.
Yeah, and it ain't about getting 12 ducks, bringing 12 ducks home. We got what we needed, and we had a good time. Watched dog work and had a good time. And no, it's really cool. I'm excited to eat them too.
Yeah, successful day for sure.
And we got 3 super nice Drake woodies. This one is absolutely.
That one is real beautiful right there.
Super pretty and
for sure.
So no, really cool day and excited to get them cleaned up. Here's the ducks from duck opener. We plucked and breasted these out. Some left the fat on, some I took off. There just wasn't a lot of fat on some of these. We left the fat on, the skin on. We're gonna render these super slow so we have some duck fat to cook our vegetables in. We're gonna make kind of like a duck stew, kind of like you would a beef stew, but we're gonna use some Minnesota ducks. We got some fresh veggies, some super nice chicken stock. We're just gonna make a really nice, healthy, hearty stew for everyone on this super nice fall day. I'm gonna get these opened up here and kind of show you what I've got done so far. So I plucked these, left the fat on the fattier ones. There's still some fine hairs and some fine feathers, and I'm gonna show you how to get rid of those with the torch here. Hit it, brush off those hairs or those feathers. You don't wanna hit it too long because we're not trying to cook anything. We're just cleaning up the fuzz that's left on after plucking. All right, now that we torched all those fine feathers off and kind of plucked them away a little bit, you're gonna have some that just don't come off when you're doing this method, and that's fine. It's nothing, it's not gonna hurt anything. When you cook them, you're not even gonna notice. So now I'm gonna chunk these up a little bit into more bite-sized pieces, and then we are gonna start them off on a cold pan, and that fat's gonna render out, and we're gonna cut our vegetables, and we're gonna add those after we remove the duck. There's gonna be some duck fat in there. We're gonna cook our veggies in that, get a nice color on them, and then we will add the duck and the chicken stock and let those stew. Today we're gonna use our duck dust on our duck. So we're gonna chunk these up, we're gonna season it with the duck dust, and we're gonna sear them off. So this duck dust has a lot of herbs in it, some salt, some pepper, super good fall flavors on these ducks. It's gonna work well in the high sear too. And then this Northwood steak we're gonna use on our vegetables today. So we're gonna have 2 of our blends in here today for this duck stew. Just gonna cut these in half, long ways. Chunk them up a little bit. Try to leave that fat and that skin intact. Like I said, we're going to use that for the oil and the fat for our veggies. If there's not enough in there, we'll supplement it with a little bit of olive canola oil blend, which works well for high heat when we're roasting our veggies. We have a wide range of ducks in here. We got some wood ducks, we got some teal, we got a mallard hiding in here. When you're cooking stuff like this, you know, there's going to be some people out there that say, oh, this duck's better than this duck. This duck's better than this duck. When we got all this in the stew, you're not going to notice what you're eating, even if it's a coot. Now that we have this diced up, I'm just going to sprinkle this duck dust on here to get it fully seasoned. We're just going to sprinkle it on and then mix it up a little bit. We're also going to do it on our non-skinned duck breasts as well, because we do want to get a little crust on these in the pan before we cook them slow in the vegetables and the broth. So we'll season these and chunk them up as well. We'll just give these a little mix. And we don't have this pan on yet, so whenever you're doing duck, you want to start in a cold pan, fat side down, and you're going to turn it on about medium heat to let the pan heat up slowly and render all this duck fat out. If you just do a high heat, super fast sear on a duck with fat like this on it, it's going to be super chewy. So low and slow on the duck fat. Render that out, we'll take it out, and we'll add the vegetables. We're not looking for a hot sear, so you can crowd this pan up pretty well. I'm gonna just lay this non-fat on top of all this. And this is duck that's not gonna be medium rare, which is usually how we kind of like to do things. We're gonna cook this down with all these veggies in the stock, and it's gonna pull really nice. It's gonna be super tender. We're just gonna turn this pan on about medium and let that fat render really slowly. And while that's working, we're gonna cut up our vegetables. We're gonna chunk up these vegetables here. So I got celery, carrots, onion, a little bit of garlic, and some potatoes. We're gonna cut these a little bigger than you would. We're not doing like a fine dice, seeing as they're gonna stew in with all that meat and all that stock. We want them a little bigger so they hold shape and they stay a little firm a little longer. And you can cut these any way you want. I'm just gonna kind of cut them on a bias, a little bit bigger. Leave these a little bigger too, these potatoes. I mean, they're a little bigger than bite size. I like using the baby reds because you leave the skin on, they hold their shape really nice in like a stew, a pot roast, anything you're kind of baking for a longer amount of time or cooking for a longer amount of time. Garlic, I'm just gonna kind of give a quick hit and a quick smash. I'm not gonna dice this up by any means. We just really want this in there for the flavor. Quick hit of the back of the knife, peel this off really easy. Got some carrots here as well. Peeling your carrots, pretty pointless, I would say. This skin on here has got a lot of nutrients in it, also helps hold shape. Just make sure you wash them first. No need to peel your carrots. We're gonna kind of just give these a check here. Fat's starting to render down. You can see the fat kind of shrinked up a little bit, but it's still very fatty, not rendered all the way yet. So we're just gonna keep this going on a low pan. Again, we don't wanna start cooking any of this yet. We just want this fat to slowly cook and render out. Just kind of halving these onions and giving them another half so they're quartered. Again, big chunks. We want them to be able to withstand the cook time. We have some fresh thyme as well, and we're just gonna put that in whole in there. We'll be able to kind of fish out those stalks later on. And we're gonna go back to checking this duck, see how this fat's working. We're not flipping it or anything, keeping it fat side down. You can adjust your heat as needed, up or down. If it's starting to brown too fast, turn it down. If it's kind of slow going and doesn't seem like it's rendering out, you can turn it up just a little bit, but only go a little bit at a time. We're just showing you this duck stew method today using two different seasonings here, our duck dust and our Northwood steak. This duck dust we made specifically for ducks or pheasant, grouse, turkeys, any kind of flying animal. It's got ground rosemary, thyme, savory, ground bay leaf, salt, onion, garlic, and white pepper in it. Works really well with any kind of any kind of flying bird of any sort. It's good. It's delicious. And our Northwood steak for our vegetables today. Gonna crank this heat up. Add our veggies and our potatoes. Put our thyme right on top. We're gonna let these get a nice little coating on them as well. We have some of that duck dust in there that's gonna coat those vegetables. And we're gonna add our Northwood steak now. This stuff has garlic, onion, salt, pepper. It also has a red bell pepper and celery seed in it. So the red flakes you see isn't a spicy pepper. It's just gonna be a sweeter red bell pepper that's dried. And make sure we got a good coating on those. We're gonna let these cook and sear. Give them a stir every once in a while. We want a little bit of color on these vegetables, again, for the same reason. When we're cooking these for a long time, if we don't cook them first, they're just gonna kind of mushy and fall apart. If you get a good sear on these, a little bit of high heat cook time, they're gonna stay a little more form. All right, so these vegetables have a nice color on them. So we are gonna add in our meat, all the juices with it too. You'll see in the bottom of your pan, it's starting to stick to the bottom. That's what you call the fond. So that's all good flavor that you want to release from the bottom right now. And the way you do that, you deglaze your pan. So you make sure your pan's still really hot, and you add your chicken stock. If you made a duck stock, you could add water in this instance too if you need. We have so many flavors in here that water would even work in this situation. So we added this to the hot pan, which is gonna remove all of that stuck food from the bottom, and that's called deglazing your pan. And that's all good flavor that you want. So kind of scrape the bottom, get all that up, and now you have a clear, empty bottom pan. We're gonna add the rest of our stock in. Add enough stock just to cover everything up. Everything is gonna release a little bit of moisture, so it's gonna cover well, and we're gonna cover this up so everything's just gonna steam. All these veggies are gonna steam. They're gonna get soft, and in about hour and a half, you're gonna have a super good hearty stew. So we've let this cook for about an hour or so here, maybe an hour and a half on a low simmer. Lots of starch in these potatoes too to help thicken up this sauce. You just let it cook, let it reduce. You can see we got super good texture on these vegetables that we cooked off. This duck is kind of, fall off the bone without the bone. Super tender duck. And we are gonna scoop this into the bowl here and kind of see what we got total. You can see these thyme sprigs are in here that we talked about before. Just either throw those off to the side or just, scoop them off. I mean, for a fall outdoor meal, you can't get much better than that. This is the wild duck that we shot on duck opener. We've got teal in here, we got wood ducks, we got mallards, everything kind of mixed in. And like I said before, you'll never find anyone, and I would challenge that could tell me which duck piece came from which duck. We still got the fat on here. All the fat's rendered out, so it's gonna be totally edible. It's not gonna be too chewy. These vegetables are perfectly tender. They still hold in their shape, which is nice. And we have all that flavor from the duck dust on the ducks, the Northwood steak seasoning on the vegetables. It just makes for a perfectly well paired stew. I'm gonna try this out here. Oh yeah. You could serve that to anyone. They wouldn't know what kind of duck it is, and you know what? They really wouldn't even know that's duck. The flavors we have from that stock in there, the seasonings that we're using. This doesn't taste like your wild game duck. This just tastes like super healthy, super lean, really nice, flavorful meat in this super good stew. And I would serve this to anybody, and they wouldn't even know what they were eating. It's not gamey, covers up really nice, cooks out well, super good flavor, 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.